Today's learning target is I can find the volume of cylinders. In today's lesson, we're going to focus on cylinders. But I just want to remind you the difference here between cylinders and cones. So when we look at cylinders, we know that cylinder has two bases, and there's circular bases, whereas a cone has one base, and it comes to a vertex, or that point there. To find the volume of a cylinder, we're going to use the same formula here that we used to find the volume of a triangular and rectangular prism. Okay, and that formula, to remind you, is the volume equals the big B times the H. Now, here's where that formula is different. Okay, the big B, just to remind you, is the area of the base. Okay, so in a cylinder, the base is a circle. Okay, so we've got two bases and they're circles. So we have to find the area of this circle. And remember, to find the area of a circle, we use the formula pi times the radius squared. So in this formula, we can replace pi r squared for the big B, because that's what the area of the base would be, and then times it by the height. So our formula overall would be pi r squared times h. So let's take a look how we would find the volume of this cylinder right here. So we're going to start with our formula. Once we've written down our formula, now we can start plugging in our numbers. So we know pi is 3.14. Here I have my radius, and it's going to be 6.1, which I'm going to square. And then the height for this is going to be 12. So let's plug those numbers in. So order of operation tells me I'm going to do my groupings first. Now within this grouping I have a multiplication problem here, and I have an exponent. I know I do exponents first. So 6.1 squared. So that gave me 37.21, and then I'm going to times that by pi on my calculator, and then once I do that I'll times it by 12. And once I solve that, I got 1402.8, and remember my label, I always do it in cubic measurements, so it's going to be feet cubed or cubic feet. Now if I take a look at this one over here, notice that I don't have a radius. This time I have a diameter. This line goes from one end to the other, so that's a diameter. So I start with my formula, volume equals big B times H, and I know to find the area of this circle, it's pi r squared. But remember now, this is not the radius, this is a diameter. Okay, a radius goes from the halfway point to the end, so I have to take half of this number. So I'll do 11.4 and divide it by 2. And once I do that, I get 5.7 as my radius. So now I plug those numbers in here. Okay, and the first thing I'm going to do is take 5.7 and I'm going to square it on my calculator, and then I'll times it by pi. And when I did that, I got 102 and 1/10. I actually rounded it to the nearest tenth place. And then I got to times it by the height, and the height I can see here is 5. So I'll place that 5 in here and multiply that. And my final answer is 510.5, or 510 1/2 cubic meters.